Hey guys, welcome back.
He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm okay. In fact,
We're going to be
things are
continuing where we left
I
off.
actually have an offer for you that could potentially change your life." Brock again told Michael that he and the boss were seriously impressed with Michael's work so far. Not just the fact that he kept silent about the motel incident, but also they knew Michael clearly had not looked inside of any of those packages. And so collectively, this proved that Michael was dependable and loyal. So he told Michael that what he wanted to do was introduce Michael to the boss. He thought maybe the boss would take a liking to Michael,
hey, you two.
move him up in the organization, maybe give him a more managerial role like Brock's.
No assignment. Just says report to Isaac. Both of us? Yeah.
Critically, came with higher pay. After hearing this, Michael felt both excited and nervous.
Something's going down.
Because he wanted nothing more than to make the kind of.
We should make sure Mel's okay first.
After working with Brock now for several months, Michael had become kind of desensitized to violence and danger. He realized he could put his morals aside if it meant he would never have to be financially insecure ever again. The thing that made Michael nervous was meeting the boss. I mean, he really didn't know much about who this guy was. All he knew is he was perfectly prepared to resort to violence if people wanted. So Michael knew how critical it was to stay on this guy's good side. But as all these conflicting thoughts were swirling around Michael's head, Brock said something else. He said before he would actually take Michael to meet the boss, Michael had to pass delivering packages and keys.
Hey guys.
Basically, he needed to prove that he could be as cutthroat and brutal as Brock was. After saying this, Brock just kind of leaned back and stared at Michael, studying his reaction.
How's Mel?
At first, Michael really didn't even know what to say.
The baby's vitals were a little elevated.
He was like, okay, is Brock expecting me to come up with, some sort of way that I can demonstrate this? Do I need to come up with a test myself?
I need to show you guys something.
Or is Brock about to give me some assignment? Like, what's going on here? But then, before Brock could say anything else to clarify this whole situation, Michael had this
more coming in by the hour.
He suddenly realized that he already had the proof he needed to demonstrate to Brock and to the boss that he could basically handle anything they threw at him. Before meeting Brock, something truly awful and just totally messed up happened in Michael's life. And Michael had persevered his way through it. And so Michael was thinking to himself, if he just told the story of what happened to Brock,
why the hell hasn't Isaac sent out a search
party for Owen? Convinced that he was their guy. And so feeling very confident, Michael looked Brock right in the eye and he told him about his past.
We're looking for Isaac.
He told the story,
he's inside.
Brock's eyes went wide.
Going in.
And by the end of the story, when Michael finally finished up, Brock just said, okay, look who it is. We're ready to meet the boss. The meeting with the boss was scheduled for a few days later. And on that day, Michael showed up to this fancy hotel in a nearby city. When he walked into the lobby, he saw Brock was sitting there waiting for him. So Michael smiled and stood up, gestured for Michael to come over. The two of them walked upstairs to a particular hotel room. But when Brock unlocked the hotel room door, the two men went inside this lavish suite, gorgeous living room, and an amazing view. Michael looked around and realized it was empty. He said to Brock, where's the boss? And Brock said, the boss doesn't wait for anyone. People wait for the boss. So sit down, he'll be there. So
all right. Trick shot time.
But in reality, he was very nervous. He was poking aggravated, putting him on edge. He also knew he had to impress the boss. Come here. Because if he did, he would have this strength, emotion, Dina! But if he didn't, if he failed to impress the boss, not only could he potentially get out of the job and back to poverty, but also he could be in real danger. And so as Michael is sitting there, showing all the signs, nervous, Brock is in the room, just kind of standing there, and says, his friend clearly is on it. He says, hey, Michael, here we go. Why don't you just do your story one more time, like a dry run, before you meet the boss. Get yourself ready. And so Michael, who at this point was so anxious to have anything on the quietly, quickly agreed to the idea and went through his story one more time. And right as he finished it, okay, ready. So Brock walked over to the door, took one more look at Michael, stopped.
How many guys did you see?
And saw who was out there.
We gotta get the hell out of here.
It made a terrible mistake. It would turn out the last several months of Michael's life was one big lie. That sweepstakes that Michael had won that got him the tickets to the game in Calgary, that wasn't real. Somebody had set that up just so Michael could beat Brock. Those packages that Michael was delivering for Brock, they were not sensitive. It was just packages that contained flour, like cooking flour. And that woman that Michael watched Brock beat up at the motel, she was acting, and so was Brock. Nobody got hurt in that entire altercation. And the blood that Michael saw on her face, well, she had blood capsules hidden in her mouth that she popped to make it look like she actually got beat up. However, there was one thing that was absolutely true about the last few months of Michael's life. And that was that Brock really was involved in a secretive organization. And Brock really did want to bring Michael inside of it. It's just that the organization was not the criminal enterprise that Michael thought it was. Instead, it was the Royal Canadian. Brock was an undercover officer running an elaborate sting designed entirely to get down there! Which he did, while secret cameras inside of that hotel room recorded every single word. Michael's crime was this way! 2 years earlier, his girlfriend, Shorty, he was so mad about it that he attacked her, strangling her until she fell unconscious. And so this was the story he told Brock and intended to tell the boss. Basically, was telling them, hey guys, I'm literally. I hear her running! Down there! Watch out! Move! Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Let's see. And remember, we have hundreds of videos.
Please don't follow me in. I can't afford to waste any more ammo, so if they come in, I'm gonna have to die and start over. Hopefully. Nope, they came in. Nope, they didn't come in. What the hell? Oh my... That's so stupid.
So, if that's of interest to you, please click the like button, like it's a fly hovering over you. Also, please subscribe to our channel, turn on all notifications, don't miss any of our videos. Okay, let's get into it. Got visuals on them! Right here! Don't let her get away!
Oh, come on. These critical hits are BS.
On the afternoon of January 22nd, 2024, an elderly woman named Janet Lee sat in front of her computer in an office on the second floor of her home in Newcastle. She was going over some recent bank statements, but it was kind of hard to keep distracted. All she could hear was her boyfriend downstairs talking to someone. So Janet's boyfriend is a guy named Richard O'Connor. He and Janet have been together for about 12 years. Now, despite not officially being married, they sort of function like a couple. Together, you know, shared everything. I caught them! Right over here! Janet thought her and Richard were fighting fit. And she assumed that that was like reciprocated. She also felt like they were together forever. Nothing was in stone until we move it! So as Janet sat upstairs applying bank statements, getting completely sidetracked just by the sound of the blades.
Up ahead! Rifle!
That was distracting no longer was it bank statements. What's the so as Janet is having this moment upstairs, she suddenly hears Richard start yelling downstairs. At first, it kind of sounded like he was yelling
Come on, game. Are you kidding me, dude? Come on. Not more of them.
Oh? Here! Oh, shit!
Screw it. It's taking too long, man. They're not supposed to follow me in there. I don't know what this new patch did. Like, this guy, he's not even supposed to come in this room. He's supposed to keep going down the hallway. And they did some stupid new patch to mess up speedrunners, and it's annoying as hell.
Caught them! Right over here!
This is such bullshit.
It was this way! Got them! Over here! She's running!
And of course, finally he went the right way. Finally, man.
This school. Now. There has to be a way down to the street somewhere. I got it.
But now, as she's listening to Richard describe the NHS guy, suddenly something clicked. She realized she knew why this guy seemed so familiar. This realization filled her. It would turn out that NHS nurse was not really an NHS nurse. Instead, they were a man that both Janet and Richard knew very well. However, they were extremely well disguised. So Janet and Richard did not recognize them. This man's name was Thomas Wong. Thomas, after coming inside their home,
back there.
did not inject Richard with COVID-19
Thanks
vaccine.
for the save, by the way.
Instead, he injected Richard with a deadly pesticide called iodomaine. That pesticide immediately caused that excruciating pain that Richard was feeling and caused him to scream out, and ultimately killed and began to rot away the flesh and thought. It would turn out Thomas Wong was Janet's
There's a
son.
bunch trying to sneak me out of here.
Furious at her for
How
putting
many?
Richard in her will and allowing Richard to get her house when she died.
And once they realize we're out of the school,
Inject poison
kill
into
their
Richard,
fucking friends.
killing
They'll
Richard.
be out in force looking for us.
But Richard would survive the ordeal. He would have to undergo several pretty intense surgeries, but he ended up being okay.
These people are not
Thomas
like us.
was arrested and
What if
convicted
we've been
of attempted murder,
refugees?
sentenced
we,
to 31
I don't
years.
know, had intel they needed?
It doesn't seem like they care about that.
You know that feeling when you get totally lost in the story, like you're on the edge of your
Something's
seat the
bugging
whole
me.
time, start to finish? Well, that's the experience that Audible brings with her. She actually fell off her bike onto the ground.
Why didn't they
She hit
kill
her
you
head
and
pretty
Tommy when
hard,
they had the
but
chance?
luckily she was wearing a helmet,
I don't know.
so she was able to stay
It
up.
seems reckless.
Assessed that she was
Maybe they're
physically
dumb.
okay, and she looked and saw what she
Maybe.
was connected to. It was actually another moped. Unfortunately, the crash was kind of low speed, and so the other moped driver clearly was well, and, their mopeds were not actually damaged at all. So after she said she was sorry, and the two kind of acknowledged that they were just going to go their separate ways, their moped driver hopped back on their moped, drove off, and Angela, just to make sure she really was okay here, and, she hit her head pretty hard on the concrete. So Angela, she took off her helmet, felt around her scalp. Sure enough, she felt a little bump on her head from where she hit the ground, but other than that, fine. Now, because it was a head injury, albeit a small one, Angela did consider just going to the hospital, just to be sure. But, as she felt it a couple more times, she was like, it's pretty small. This is not a big deal. She put her helmet back on, moped, went on about her business. About a week later, Angela was back home in Glasgow, Scotland. She was inside of her doctor's office, and following that moped accident, Angela had stayed in Vietnam. The whole time she had checked every single day. She ended back home. By the way, having this kind of symptom that she couldn't help but feel be connected to the moped accident. It made her really scared.
How do trespassers even
Not
get in?
her new symptom were these sudden kind of
If you ask me, deserters are
appointment to
dangerous.
go see her doctor to figure out what the heck was going on. So finally, Angela's doctor came to the room. He would examine her, her nose and head, listen to the story about the moped. But after he was done with the exam, he would tell Angela that he did not think her nosebleeds had anything to do with the moped accident. Much more realistically, the nosebleeds were from her body adjusting to the weather in Scotland. In Vietnam, it was a very hot environment, and Scotland was very cold. So that shift was
Right over here!
and so the doctor recommended that Angela put some Vaseline inside of her nostrils to keep them moist and just wait for this to clear up as her body transitioned back to Scotland. 2 days later, Angela was back home inside of her bathroom in the mirror, applying some Vaseline to her nostrils. Now, she had been doing this every day, multiple times a day, since the doctor had made the recommendation. Despite following the doctor's orders, if anything, they were getting worse. She did these things multiple times a day. But for now, Angela simply turned on her shower and took the water to warm up and then shot inside. After a few minutes of just kind of standing on the shower, Angela began to notice something she was doing a lot of, something done. Except as she touched her nose, she began to feel something weird sort of deep inside of her nostril that she maybe hadn't noticed before. At some point, she actually pushed pretty hard on whatever this was inside of her nasal cavity.
How do
When she
trespassers
did
even
that,
get in?
it sent this blinding wave clean over her, and then simultaneously blood began pouring out of her nose, and she couldn't get it to stop. It was like this flood of just constant pushing. It terrified Angela. I mean, she'd had these terrible nosebleeds, but this was the worst one, and it was clearly connected to something inside of her nose. So she started panic, blood's getting everywhere, and she thinks this is kind of connected to that moped accident. Maybe I have some horrible brain injury. Maybe I'm dying. And so in a panic, she jumps out of the shower, towels off, gets dressed, and rushes to her mom. When Angela got to the emergency room, the nurse quickly brought her into the exam room and sit down and head back. The nurse could look into her nostril to see what was going on. So Angela, she's got all this gauze to kind of trap the blood, and she's got her head way back. She's letting the nurse do this exam.
Hey, Dina.
After a while, Angela starts to realize that this exam is taking a really long time. The nurse is just kind of standing there, clearly looking at her nostrils, but not saying anything. From Angela's perspective, she can't really see the nurse. Her head is
Give me your hand.
far back. But the silence that's grown in the room is so loud at this point that Angela finally just kind of
Hey,
sits up and looks at
that
the
round
nurse.
building. It looks like the TV
She
station
sees
from
the
the map.
nurse is kind of frozen. Like she's looking at Angela's nostrils like she can't believe what she's seeing. And the
I don't know
nurse
how I
kind
would
of
have
snaps
done all
out of
this.
it. Looks at Angela and says, I'm gonna get the
What
doctor.
the fuck was that?
Angela's
I
like,
ran into a trap.
"Damn, what's going on?" nurse just turns around and speed walks out of the room. It would turn out Angela's
Oh shit!
doctor
What the fuck was that? I ran into a trap.
Because in Vietnam, in between nightclubs, partying, and trying all that great food, Angela was also swimming in rivers. At one point, when she was in one of those rivers,
I don't want to think about that right now.
way into her nose. 3-inch long blood cell. It had been living deep inside of Angela's nostril and sinus cavity for over a week, separated from her brain only by this extremely fragile bone, only about a half millimeter thick. Hospital doctors would spend about 30 minutes
These were all shot. Hey, look.
Out of Angela's nose.
It's Tommy's.
Without, she would go on to make a full recovery.
How'd this city get so wrecked? Boston wasn't like this, was it?
Boston didn't have a
One morning
full-blown
in
civil
February
war.
1987,
Fireflies never put up this kind of resistance.
Overton stood in front of her bathroom mirror outside of her home in Dana Point, California.
You see the TV
Janet,
station?
a member of the board for the school district that her 17-year-old son
More
attended.
bodies.
She had a big meeting that
Tommy definitely
But as
came
she
this
looked at
way.
herself in the mirror,
Stop.
she looked terrible,
Tripwire.
pale and exhausted, and she had these big
Thanks.
dark circles under her eyes. Now, Janet knew why
They're
she
all
looked
over.
because
Probably
the last
for
couple of
infected.
days, she felt really sick
Still.
out of nowhere.
Smart.
Off and on,
That works.
sleeping very well.
Yeah.
She
Seen
figured
Joel
she
do
had a
this.
bad cold, hoped if she could just kind of muscle her way through it, she could avoid going to the doctor. But now, here she was, about to have this big school board meeting, still feeling sick, still looking terrible. But canceling her plans and going to the doctor, she was caked on more makeup, did up her hair.
Wait, what?
A few weeks later, Janet suddenly woke up in the
What?
night feeling so nauseous. She leapt out of her bed and ran
What the flip?
afterwards. She sat on the ground.
Holy shit, man.
Janet's cold had not really gone away. In fact, if anything, it had just gotten progressively worse. Now, Janet eventually.
We're not being subtle right now.
Maybe you didn't have
Maybe Leah will come to us.
some other virus.
Yeah.
But the only thing they
Or they might be waiting to ambush us.
Stay well hydrated. So that's exactly what Janet had been doing over these several weeks. But it hadn't helped. Janet's nausea had gotten so bad and so severe that she basically couldn't eat. And she had also fallen behind on her work at the school because she was so
I'll
weak.
buy it.
Janet forced herself to stand up off the bathroom.
Fuck.
She turned on the sink and began splashing water on her face. As she did that, she noticed something new. She saw there was a red, scaly rash on her arms.
Let's get inside.
Her back pulled her sleeves up, and she saw the rash extended up onto her shoulders, up onto her neck, and down her back. And when she touched it, it really hurt. I mean, this is a brand new symptom to her, and she could tell it had to be connected to whatever this mystery illness was, and it terrified her. What was happening to her body? So she decided that night she had to go to the next day. Janet laid in a hospital bed with an IV in her arm, and her husband and her son sitting beside her. She still felt absolutely horrible. She still felt nauseous. She had cold symptoms, and that rash had now spread up to her neck and on her face, and it had begun to glisten. All night, doctors
This is
had been running
definitely
tests
not
on
Tommy.
Janet to try to figure out what was going on. Back negative.
I don't
She
know.
didn't have the flu. She
But
didn't
it's a
have
message.
any known infections or diseases that could cause these symptoms. The doctors
You think
read a
they're still
lot.
here?
However, scans of Janet's abdomen
Damn it.
did
Your eyes
reveal
open.
something concrete. She had all these ulcers in her stomach, which basically are like open sores in her stomach lining. And the doctors told her very likely it was ulcers that were causing her extreme nausea and making it really hard to eat. But like everything else they were saying to Janet, they had no idea why she was developing these ulcers. And so ultimately, all the doctors could really do
I
for
don't like
Janet
this.
was just treat her symptoms.
too
They gave her
exposed.
ulcer medication.
I have to search
and
all of
also
it.
gave her some
I want to find Leah.
rash. Over the next
Just-
couple of days, these treatments seemed to work. You know, ulcers went away, and her rash basically disappeared. And overall, she felt a lot better. Not back to 100%, but pretty close. To the point where she was discharged. And
Oops.
so Janet and the doctors were like, okay, we don't really know what this was or why it started. We just hope it never comes back. horrible. Ever since leaving the hospital, she had periodically just kept getting sick over and over and over again. And each time she would go back to the hospital, they would just, treat her symptoms, but no one could figure out what was wrong with her. And eventually she'd get better and go back home, and the cycle would repeat. And so on this particular day, even though Janet felt sick as a dog, she just told herself she was going to push through this and try to have a good day with her son whale watching. So she put on a ton of makeup, she put her hair up, slammed some coffee, went downstairs to meet her son. Then the two of them headed outside, walked over to the car. Keep your eyes open! Right as Janet was about to tap the car door handle and get inside, Janet's husband and son rushed Janet to the hospital. But by the time they got there, it was already too late.
Spotted them! In here!
For doctors,
Don't let her escape! We got them!
Oh fuck! Tina! We gotta run!
Trespassers over there! I heard the call! I don't fucking know! Just shoot them!
We gotta lose them!
Get ahead!
Oh shit!
Alright. And we will be right back to do this next segment in just a few minutes.